on our earlier conversation where we were talking about 3D printing, like many people, I was first attracted to digital fabrication through 3D printing. And I just thought it was just really wonderful, profound, and it just like blew my mind. But then one day, I met this sort of like sexy little box that spit fire very precisely, and it was a laser cutter. And I looked at this tool, and you have to realize that in my heart of hearts, I'm a knuckle dragging fabricator. I like to take flat sheets of steel and cut it with plasma cutters and torches and transform it into three-dimensional objects. And I looked at this laser cutter, and two simultaneous bells went off at the same time. The first bell was that, my God, this is a flat sheet munching monster that you could use to build anything. Now you have to realize when you work in 3D printing, unless you're building things in parts and constructing larger assemblies out of smaller parts, you have a 16, if on a good day, a 12 to 16 inch build envelope on, that's the biggest thing I can make. Now in sculptural terms, 12 to 16 inches is a, let's go the other way and just make jewelry, okay? But with the laser cutter, you realize that you have this tool that you can use to fabricate flat sheet material, both in serial form, in slices, to make objects and armatures for things, and also to build and construct volumetrically. And almost immediately, the scale whistle goes off. And you realize at that very moment that anything that I design on the computer, I can work it at scales from jewelry, something that's on my finger as a ring, to a building that I can walk into, right? Because if you look at the sheet materials that you're cutting things with out of cardboard sometimes, and out of paper, that you fabricate with the laser cutter out of plastic, that you do on a laser cutter, if you upscale that same philosophy and take it to water jet cutters and larger scale, like CNC controlled plasma cutters, now you're working with 12 by 10 foot sheets of steel. Very profound, very sexy, very exciting, right? And you realize that all these things that you've been designing geometrically all these years, you can begin to actually construct them, like the work that we see here often sans a lot of the textural applications that we talked about earlier. That's laser cutting, okay? The other thing, the other bell that went off at the same time was that my first artistic love was printmaking. And in high school, I had three wonderful high school teachers in high school. Renee Darvin at Beachtown High. Renee Darvin ran our arts program, and she also taught drawing. We had Bruce Deegan, who taught illustration, and Bernie Ratner, who taught both drawing and media, also taught printmaking. And at a time in my life as a kid growing up in Brooklyn, having the printmaking lab to go to after school and work saved my life. And being obsessed with etching and being obsessed with block printing and that process, all of which take lots of time, lots of patience, lots of slow down, lots of process, and understanding that every step matters. That at a time in my life, I needed to have that type of focus because that energy could have gone into a lot of worse places. But the moment I saw the laser cutter cut a piece of plastic the first time, this bell went off in my head, because most schools, like we used to make our, we were lucky in our high school, we were able to make our plates using zinc and copper. You know, and we'd process those and we'd etch those and do intaglio printing with those. And we also did like linoleum block printing. But immediately when I saw the laser cutter operate and cut a piece of plastic, a lot of schools, when they don't have lots of money, what they would use is that they would use acrylic sheets, and they would etch acrylic and do intaglio prints using acrylic plates. And so immediately I saw this tool that could be used to do both intaglio processes and block printing process on either wood or on plastic. And so I was in heaven. I was in heaven, and there was a time where like my mind artistically and process-wise was going from making these things three-dimensionally and then doing intaglio prints, doing block prints, and all of this was because of like this tool called like the laser cutting, which I think, I'm actually personally, you know, I always love 3D printing, and there are aspects of that tool that are ever evolving that I love, but there is nothing on earth sexier than a laser cutter, you know, as an artistic tool and as a tool for sculpture and image making, which is really incredible, and which is one of the things from the studio aspect and my studio practice and process that I'm really always bullish on. And a thing like the plotter is that somewhere that sits just above that process, because it's another flat sheet image making tool. That's really cool, but I'm really excited because we're going to be adding a printing press to go into the printmaking room to our tool set here in the 3D studio, and I'm very interested to see where our students take that, because a lot of our students are interested in making two-dimensional images, and we have a lot of wonderful ways by which they can create 2D images now.